Hey, good day to you. Welcome to the Monday edition of RFD Illinois. Monday, April 1st, 2019. Rita Frazier here at the Illinois Farm Bureau in Bloomington. Lots and lots of news. We talked on Friday with U.S. Congressman from the 18th Congressional District, Darren LaHood, who was back in his district on Friday. We talked lots of issues, but most importantly for the China trade issue, he just returned from a special trip to China. He'll give us the very latest and his prediction or thoughts, at least, on the potential to get an agreement between the U.S. and China before the spring is up. We'll see about that. We'll also talk USMCA, and we'll talk about the USDA numbers that were out last Friday, that planting intentions grain stocks report, a very bearish report. The markets, of course, closed lower, but Dale Dirkholtz, Agrivisor Services, joins us for a recap. And we'll start the program with the corner economist, Mike Doherty. He'll talk about the slowing of the economy, break it down to the Illinois economy, and look at cities and regional information in those reports for Illinois. Plus, a weather forecast with Dan Hicks, and our Jim Taylor will be along with the overnight markets. So all that coming your way on this edition of RFD Illinois.
With this week's edition of Farm Week, the early word, here's Rita Frazier.
As a critical care nurse, Cook County Farm Bureau President Janet McCabe remains focused on patient care while trying to help make health care more affordable for farmers. Learn more in the latest Farm Week about her efforts as a member of the Illinois Farm Bureau's Health Care Working Group. Flooding conditions in Illinois could worsen in this week's edition of Farm Week. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Climate Prediction Center estimates the state faces an elevated risk of flooding through the month of May.
No other Farm Weekly in Illinois has as many people on the ground in Illinois covering Illinois agriculture for you with the depth on key issues to help keep you profitable. And don't forget, you can get daily or even more frequent updates online anytime at farmweeknow.com.
We're back here on RFD Illinois. As we do on Monday mornings, we check in with a corner economist. Mike Doherty is our senior economist here at Illinois Farm Bureau, and we're still reeling from the crop report from USDA, Mike, last Friday. Also, you were dealing with some economic numbers that tells us that maybe the economy is really slowing down.
So we had a third report out that confirms that the U.S. economy has been slowing. That it was down to 2.2% GDP growth rate in the fourth quarter of 2018. That was down from 2.6% earlier ones. So there's going to be a lot of anticipation over how the March economic activity reports come out, because that will tell us how this first quarter has done for the U.S. economy. That's going to be looked at partly because last month we had very low numbers in new job creation. And so we're going to be a lot of focus on how this coming Friday will be the job numbers. The jobs report will come out, and that's going to be really watched by economists.
And when you mention those reports and say, let's take interest rates, tell us about what those interest rates mean.
Here in Illinois, especially in the downstate, the lower the interest rates are really beneficial to us, particularly in farming. Farming is very sensitive to interest rates. We've had interest rate increases, especially for our operating loans, and also any increase in interest rates really transcribes quickly into decreasing land prices, and farmers need those land prices as collateral for loans oftentimes. Basically, in general, agriculture benefits from lower interest rate. Also, the off-farm employment, which with these low farm income years we're now into, off-farm employment in Illinois is becoming very much more important to farmers and to all our downstate communities. So the news that the feds have really seemed to have backed off any desire to raise interest rates this year is, in a way, good news for us, downstate, rural communities, farming, even though it might be because, the reason they might have done that is because the overall economy is softening.
What about the Illinois economy? And then go into those job numbers that you were talking about, and they really are regionalized as well.
The Illinois economy did pretty well in 2018, better than expected. It's kind of a surprise. It did better than neighboring states. That has not been the case in previous years. Year after year, we were doing worse than neighboring states, and we've been losing population to neighboring states. So there's been a bit of a reversal in 2018. We don't have the total economic reports yet, but we do have job reports for up through, they were released last week, up through February for Illinois by the Illinois Department of Employment Security, and they indicated that we had a 1% gain in jobs, 60,000 jobs in Illinois compared to February of last year. So that was good. It's split out. Then downstate is sort of interesting. Peoria had a surprising gain, 2.4% gain in their jobs, a 4,000 job increase, and Carbondale had a gain. The biggest area of all, most important to Illinois economy, is the Chicago, Naperville, Arlington Heights, SMSA. They had a gain of 51,600 jobs. Now think about it. Our total non-farm jobs gain for the state was 60,000. So 50 out of the 60,000 were just in that Chicagoland area, and they make all the difference in the world.
So just a minute and a half here. So I know we're going to dive into the China trade issue here in just a little bit, but you're also wanting to talk a minute about the EU going into those elections. What could that mean to us?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. EU is a very big economy. It's 28 countries. It's a 500 million population. It's a big area, and their economy has really been softening. They're getting quite nervous about it, and especially with these elections coming up. So Spain's got elections in April that are going to be pivotal. There's elections in May for Brussels and for the European Parliament. And so a real softening of this economy could tilt some of those elections. And, you know, they're wrestling with a lot of issues over there. Immigration, economic development. There's a lot of dissatisfaction over the job markets throughout European countries. So we'll just see how this plays out. But I think it's going to be interesting to see that whether or not it influences the European Central Bank in what they do with interest rates and whether they push out more credit to the other member states.
So just before we close, any guesses on if we'll get this China-U.S. trade deal finalized before we get out of spring 2019?
I want to quote a trader that was reported, a commodities trader who said today, "Wake me up when the China trade issue is no longer an issue." That trader also said, well, it could be worse. We could be following Brexit every day. So I'll leave with that.
Corner economist Mike Doherty, you're listening to RFD Illinois.
When it comes to social media, Sabrina Berkowitz connects rural routes for you. Sabrina covers a broad range of ag topics, so Farm Bureau members are the first to know about key issues. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up with a grain and livestock farm in my extended family, and today I really enjoy helping people learn how to use social media to advocate for agriculture.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Attention corn farmers. Your corn checkoff dollars are working with the U.S. Meat Export Federation to grow red meat export volumes. Because when we're exporting beef, we're also exporting corn. The beef industry consumes 28% of all corn fed to livestock, plus additional corn in the form of DDGs, a co-product of ethanol production. Now that's what we call working an angle. Your checkoff is working corn from all angles. Because of the Illinois Corn Marketing Board, your profitability is our bottom line. A message from the Illinois Corn Checkoff.
We're back here on RFD Illinois. I'm Rita Frazier. While we're still recovering from last Friday's USDA planted acreage and stocks report, it was a down day for sure in the markets. Corn and soybeans, wheat, Dale Dirkholtz, Agrivisor Services.
Call it a bloody day, especially in the corn trade there. You know, it was really kind of interesting, the numbers we got from the USDA. Whether we want to talk about the corn planting number that came out higher than expected, 92.8 million acres, or whether we want to talk about the corn stalks number, just over 8.6 billion bushel, smaller than last year, but about 300 million bushel larger than what people in the industry generally expected to see. And, you know, the corn stocks number basically implied that, our usage of corn here during the last calendar quarter was roughly, for feed and residual I'm speaking, was roughly about 300 million bushel less than a year ago. And that's kind of hard to put in perspective, considering we had probably one of the coldest winters going all the way back to the 1980s. And so you go, feed demand that bad? Realistically, the rest of the numbers there, the beans, the wheat, those numbers really were not too far off the mark. The bean planting number may be a little friendly. The spring wheat planting number friendly, but wheat stocks at 1.59 billion bushel, close to expected. Bean stocks 2.7 billion, pretty close to expected. Bean plantings, though, because corn was higher, they ended up being down. We were at 84.6 million acres. That's about 2 million under what the trade was thinking. The spring wheat, people were thinking up. It actually came down just about 200,000 acres. So there were some positives in the beans and the wheat, but the issues we had over there in the corn market with just a huge collapse today just prevented it from really finding any traction in either of the other two grains.
Dale Dirkholtz, Agrivisor Services. Well, from grains and weather to China trade talks. That's the top of the news. Congressman Darren LaHood was back in his district last Friday. We talked about a recent trip to China, what he thinks about the potential for a deal.
I was proud to lead a delegation, Republicans and Democrats, to China last week. The main reason why I was going is to talk to the Chinese about how important it is to resolve our trade differences right now. I talked about what the tariffs and the retaliation by the China have done. Before I went, I met with Bob Lighthizer and Secretary Mnuchin, and of course they're there this week. We are at a very pivotal, critical time with China right now. Now, I will say this. I am not a fan of tariffs, Rita, but I believe the president has used tariffs in a narrowly tailored way to get the Chinese to come to the table. The Chinese have been ripping us off for 25 years, particularly when it relates to our technology, intellectual property, forced technology transfers, stealing much of our military apparatus through the internet and cyber theft. So that's really what we're trying to get them to change. And my message to them was they need to change the way they do business if they want to be a first world country and engaged. So the problem is, agriculture is a pawn in all of this. We produce and grow the best products anywhere in the world. Remember, 25 to 30% of the corn and soybeans grown in Illinois go to China. It is a market we need. It's, customers that we need. It's imperative that we resolve this. And so telling the Chinese that President Trump isn't bluffing, that this is real reform that we need from them, and they're hurting too. Their stock market is down, their economy is hurting, and our message is let's work together to resolve this issue. And I think the main point is an enforcement mechanism that gets put in place that makes China abide by the same rules we abide by and every other country in the world that is a first world country abides by. So that message was sent. At every level, we met with the vice president, the speaker of their parliament there, or the People's Congress. We met with the Secretary of Agriculture. And I would also say, Rita, Ambassador Branstad, who's the former governor of Iowa, a strong proponent of ag, he was with me in every one of these meetings and sent the same message.
So a minute left in this segment. So 29th day of March here. What are the chances, do you feel, that this agreement will be reached this spring?
I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic, Rita. I think obviously it's been pushed back a little bit. As we speak, Secretary Mnuchin and Bob Lighthizer are in Beijing today working on this negotiation with the top leadership in China. Next week, the leadership of China comes to Washington, D.C., and I'll be actively involved with that process. My hope is after those two meetings, we will know whether an agreement has been reached in principle. The biggest thing is the Chinese in the past have agreed to these trade deals, but they don't abide by the rules that are put in place. And that's really what we're trying to get to change. If that happens next week, I think there will be a meeting set between President Xi in China and President Trump. And I'm optimistic in May or early June we can get a meeting and get this resolved.
LaHood further emphasized the need for a trade agreement, finalizing this trade agreement with China. The world is watching, and he also talked about the impact of USMCA.
The Europeans are watching closely, and the other industrialized countries in the world, because they know what's at stake here. And again, in a bipartisan way, stress to the Chinese at the highest level there is bipartisan support for what President Trump is doing in these negotiations, that he is not bluffing, and we need real results from the Chinese moving forward. So that was our message. I'm optimistic that we can get something done. Pivoting to USMCA, of course, our new NAFTA agreement, I think it's a great agreement as it focuses on agriculture, but also on manufacturing. This will be the largest trade agreement ever entered into by the United States. So there's much at stake. Our number one and number two trading partners are Mexico and Canada. I serve on the Ways and Means Committee, so the passage of USMCA will begin in my committee. I'm also on what's called the WHIP team, which will help get votes in the House to pass this. But it is not going to be an easy task, Rita. This week we met with the White House on this. We're going to have a 90-day window starting in the beginning of May to get this passed in the House of Representatives. But put politics aside, and you look at what the new USMCA trade deal will do for agriculture, for manufacturing, for jobs. It's a win-win-win all the way across the board. So my hope is we can keep politics out of this and focus on those things to get this passed. This is a good deal. Now we just got to work through the Congress to get it passed.
Congressman Darren LaHood. With that, we'll break for markets and weather.
With the RFD Ag Market Summary for this Monday morning, I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and wheat all ending Friday lower. May corn closing at $356.5, down 17.5. July corn $366.25, down 17.5, and September corn down 16, $375. May beans ending Friday $884.25, down 5.25. July beans $897.75, down 5.25, and August beans down a nickel, $9.04. May wheat closing at $457.75, down 6.75. July wheat down 7, $463.5, and September wheat ending Friday $471, down 7.75. May bean meal unchanged, $306.50. May bean oil $28.36, down 27 cents. And current electronic overnight trading, May corn up 2. July corn up 1.75, September corn up 1.25, $376.25. May beans in the overnight up 3.75, July beans up 4, and August beans up 3.75, $907.75. May wheat in the overnight down 3/4, July wheat down 1.25, September wheat down 1.25, $469.75. In the outside markets, May Brent crude oil $68.39, up 57 cents a barrel. The June gold contract down 3.10 this morning, $12.95.40. In the livestock market from Friday, April lean hogs $77.37, down 150. May lean hogs down 235, 81.32. April live cattle 125.70, down 82 cents. June live cattle down 62 cents, 119 even. April feeder cattle 145.25, that's down 70 cents. Illinois direct barrels and gilts trading $2 higher on Friday at 46 to 55. That's the RFD Ag Market Summary for this Monday morning. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather with the early morning weather update on the RFD Radio Network for this Monday morning. The weekend weather system produced significant rainfall amounts over most of the Midwest, including a large part of Illinois. Amounts in the half-inch to inch-and-a-half range were fairly common. Some far northern parts of the state had lighter precipitation. This precipitation did end as some light snow in some areas late Saturday night into early Sunday. Cooler weather also spread southeastward into the region with this system, with daytime highs on Sunday mostly in the 40s. Mainly dry weather is expected across Illinois today into Tuesday. A weak system will produce some light precipitation in the western Midwest tonight and Tuesday, but little, if anything, is expected east of the Mississippi River tomorrow with this weak system. Daytime highs will warm back into the 50s and 60s across the area today into Tuesday. Again, no long dry spells are seen here in Illinois and the surrounding states. Another system will bring some rain chances back into the region for Wednesday and Thursday. Right now it looks like some 1/4 to 1 inch rainfall amounts will be fairly common with this weather system. The system will draw down some cooler Canadian air once again, with temperatures dropping back below normal in most areas later in the week. Once again, a brief dry period is expected behind the Wednesday-Thursday system, but another weather system will likely spread some warmer temperatures and some rain and thunderstorms back into the Midwest this upcoming weekend. Temperatures will gradually climb to near and above normal this weekend, and it does look like near to above normal temperatures will be more common across the central and eastern U.S. for the 6 to 10 day time frame. Some dry time is again expected after the weekend system, but additional showers and thunderstorms are likely during the 6 to 10 day time frame, with 6 to 10 day rainfall averaging at least normal across a large part of the Midwest. Once again, this is Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather.
If you're in the mood for some sprucing up, you're in luck. From big to small or farm to front yard, your Illinois Farm Bureau member discount from John Deere is ready and waiting to help. It's easy to think green when it's the Rewards loyalty program with savings on equipment, special parts, and home and workshop products. Whether your tasks involve mowing, planting, or cleaning, you'll be set for whatever your work requires. All you need to do is sign up, have your membership number handy, and go to johndeere.com/farm Bureau.
Does the warmer weather have you itching for a weekend getaway? Take your Illinois Farm Bureau membership savings with you.
Farm Bureau members can save up to 20% at choice hotels, including favorites like Comfort Suites, Sleep Inn, Quality Inn and Suites, with even more to choose from.
Call 800-258-2847 or visit the Choice Hotels website to search all the hotels at once and to make advance reservations.
Contact your local county farm bureau for your discount code number.
Farmers value clean water, and every day they're working to leave the land, air, and water in better shape for their families, neighbors, and future generations. In recent years, federal agencies have muddied the waters with overreaching rules and regulations that are more about controlling land than protecting water. The new Clean Water Rule announced by the Environmental Protection Agency and Army Corps provides clarity so farmers can comply with the law while protecting the environment, growing crops, and tending livestock. The new rule would end years of uncertainty over where federal jurisdiction begins and ends. Now is the time to make your voice heard. Text WATERS to 52886 and support the new Clean Water Rule proposed by the EPA and Army Corps. Don't wait. The 60-day comment period has begun, so text WATERS to 52886. Contact your local county farm bureau for more information on clean water and clear rules.
That is all the time we have for this edition of RFD Illinois. Thanks for spending some time with us today. We always salute an Illinois community. Today, we're going to salute an entire township. It's Preston Township in Randolph County, population 1,247. Happy Monday to you, and that salute brought to you by Country Financial. Your farm is your family's legacy and part of your hometown heritage. While you work sun up to sundown to get the job done, they're here protecting the things you love every step of the way. Country Financial, visit them at countrycrop.com. For the entire RFD radio team, I'm Rita Frazier. Have a good one.